Spiritfarer is the third ambitious item from the developers over there at Thunderlotus, with their first two games being Kowloon, an action-adventure game set in Norse mythology, and Sundered, a dark Metroidvania game with procedurally generated levels and characters that seemingly take inspirations from H.P. Lovecraft. With those titles took the direction of a grandiose adventure with over-the-top spectacles centered around combat, Spiritfarer, in my opinion, takes a quieter and calmer approach to things. This game was released on April 18, 2020, and of course you know I stay rocking out with the PlayStation 4 version, so let's get into it. So Spiritfarer is simply about what the name of the game entails, a person that ferries spirits to the destination in the afterlife. You play as a character by the name of Stella who becomes the new Spiritfarer after the previous one by the name of Sharon retires. Interestingly enough, Sharon is an entity that comes from the Greek mythology, who in this game stays true to what he is responsible for. So before Sharon leaves, he implores Stella the responsibility of making sure that the souls of the people who died are taken to where they need to go, and gives Stella something called an Everlight, an item that is pivotal as proof of her being a new Spiritfarer, but also a useful tool to transform into things that she needs to complete tasks with. So with her cat companion Daffodil, along with this large ship, Stella sets sail for this world where she comes into contact with many souls of people who have taken the form of animals, amphibians, and other creatures. It's safe to say that these spirits didn't retain their human form after their death. However, the memories of these souls when they were still alive remain with them. Some of them knew Stella, and each of them had some sort of a personal hurdle that each has to overcome before they can go to their final resting place. It's only after facing their individual revelations that they can move on and find their final resting place, with the help of Stella, of course. Thunderlotus never fails at delivering some of the most colorful and stunning visuals. The fluid and fantastic animation that seems like you're actually playing an illustrated children's book is quite refreshing. The bright and vibrant colors coming from the many environments the player will be journeying to, the detailed facial expressions, Stella's reflection in the water, and the lighting effects coming from the moon and the sun during the various times of day are just little things that adds to the quality of this game's art direction. Seeing how well the weather was done, especially when you enter in areas with storms, look a tad bit intimidating. And then you get moments when the color particles that move across the screen kinda makes this game seem a little bit, well, magical. There were moments where I did see a little bit of those Sundered vibes peeking his head out every so often. Specifically, during this minigame where Stella would have to catch these things that would periodically go across the screen. And also, during the moments when she has to come across these gigantic serpents. It may just be me, but in contrast to the bright color palettes, whenever I see dark purple in the ominous visual, Sundered always pops into my head. Then just when I thought that Thunderlotus would forget one of their signature habits of having a huge scale creature where the camera would draw back, they hit me with this. Obviously, the developers just took everything they learned from the first two titles, refined them in the visual department, and just redirected them in a way for setting a different tone in Spiritfarer. The gameplay of Spiritfarer is heavily based on the player managing a multitude of tasks. At first, the player starts off with the only option of fishing and traveling on his vessel with only a couch and a huge container. But as the game progresses, you get to improve your ship with the use of this planning board, pick up other spirits as you travel to many other places, and learn of their stories, likes, and dislikes as they in return teach the main player how to obtain materials necessary to improve your ship and progress the story forward. There is so much to do in Spiritfarer, but I guess I should start off with how the player will be traveling around. You see, inside of this ship is a room where the player can access this map with various locations. In the beginning, since you are new, majority of the map will be covered in what seems to be black clouds. As the player travels to areas never explored before, the map begins to reveal more as the black clouds decimates. The time it'll take for your ship to arrive at its destination is always shown by this meter here. Once a new area is revealed, the title card will reveal itself, and after Stella's initial visit, the map would illuminate a large amount of the areas surrounding the new place visited. The only drawback is, once it becomes nighttime, it will get to a certain point where you will be unable to travel because it's too dark, which would then kinda force the player to rest up until the next day to resume. During your travels, as the player gets deeper into the game, you will come across characters that will help assist the player in various ways, like this man that looks like he has an onion for a head who will buy and sell you items, a magical seal that can help the player fast travel to designated stations across the map, different color serpents and turtles that are huge, and shipwrecks that can help provide resources and items. Last but not least are these areas that trigger minigames consisting of capturing lightning, space rocks, flying jellyfish looking bugs, butterflies, and other things. These characters and places on the map will provide Stella with glimpses and even help multiply the number of things you may need. Depending on where you are in the game, the player is forbidden from entering certain areas due to various elemental barriers, which can be overcome by purchasing the upgrade necessary to do so. In other words, the game is pretty much telling you to continue the storyline until these places can be accessed. Stella can also interact with the spirits on her ship by feeding them, speaking with them of course, and giving them hugs. The moves of these spirits is to be kept within good standing, which can be seen by looking at their status. Why should you keep them high? Well, I guess that's just all based on personal preference. For me, it makes me feel better and refrain from having guilt for when I lay down at night. But within playing Spiritfarer, I haven't seen any consequence nor repercussions if the player chooses to practice the utmost level of extreme negligence. But just for my personal opinion, it kinda sucks to be mean. They're already dead and they already have their hang-ups, unfinished issues, and just want to make it to the Everdor. So, being nice is awesome, but that's just me though. Nevertheless, playing this game also has like a pattern that comes with it, which deals with doing quests that just comes off as missions for each spirit, listening to their story, and for whatever reason the spirit needs space or just straight up goes missing, you know it's about time for them to go. When you visit different islands, the player will come across these shrines. This is what Stella will be granted with new ways of moving around obvious obstacles that you will see when coming across new areas. But this can only be attained when having the right number of this particular item that you can only get whenever you have new spirits aboard your ship. All of these abilities are very useful, however I really doubt that gliding should be something you magically learn since all you'll be doing is just using a hat to soar across the sky. Something I believe Stella should already be able to do since it's in the button configuration since the start of the game. But moving on. The last thing I want to talk about are the various resources, items, and currency that is needed to upgrade, purchase, and improve your vessel. Apparently in the afterlife, the choice of currency that is used is called glims. You can accumulate these in numerous ways, but mostly just from selling things. As the player goes to different areas, Stella can use her Everlight to transform into a saw to cut down trees, a sickle to cut down bushes, a pickaxe to break boulders, and other things to accumulate resources in which you will need in conjunction with glims to increase the size of your ship, build shops, houses, places to plant and grow things, and other establishments for you and the many guests that you're going to have aboard your ship. Majority of the places that you're going to be building on your ship is going to be used to transform or modify items that you have to the ones that you will need via a multitude of small mini-games. Unlike Thunderlotus' previous titles with combat, this game does not follow in their footsteps. There is no form of combat in this game, and nor is it something for people who just want a fast and quick game and story. This is what you would like to call a slow burn. If the player is willing to invest time within this game, then you will be rewarded with an awesome experience. Just like Thunderlotus' previous titles, Matt's LL makes his return providing a thoughtful and calming feels through his music, which is perfect for the backdrops in some of these epic and emotional set pieces. Before the game was released, Matt's released the theme song of Spiritfarer, and this pretty much kind of set the expectations as to what I was going to find within this game. The innocent piano progressions and gentle swelling of the strings as they come into clear focus that builds up and reaches its peak just to skydive into this up-tempo and grand orchestral piece that blooms kinda makes me feel like what flying would sound like. One of my favorite moments where the music never fails to add more feeling to the gameplay was during the times where Stella is able to catch these space rocks crashing into the ship. The smooth streams while seeing the array of different color particles showering the screen is breathtaking. And for whatever reason Disney needs a person to do the next Fantasia, they need to get my man Matt. Links to where you can find the game's OST will be in the description below. He also has done works for films and got other albums that is out already that is most certainly worth your time. I have a link to his website where you can check out his other works in the description below also. The sound design of Spiritfarer was well done. When I hear the moving of the waters whenever my ship was in motion, or hearing the thunder from the storms, and how detailed it is when you hear the rainfall sounds so realistic. There's little to no voice acting within this game, however what you do hear are the sounds of the various creatures that you come across. What the player hears projects perfectly what you see visually. The roars of a massive creatures makes them seem a little bit more intimidating. And the quality of sound is gorgeous to hear on the surround sound system, especially when some of the sounds give this somewhat effect that sounds like being punched in the gut. With everything covered, it's time to put a rating on this game. I'm going to give Spiritfarer a 9.5 out of 10. Some of the adult themes and situations that the spirit brings to this game kinda hits me in the feels. It is all thanks to the beautiful writing and the execution of gameplay that ties in with it. Whenever a spirit was left to find rest, I would find myself kinda missing them. The places where I will make for them and improve for them on a boat still remains and serves now as a proof of their existence. Whenever certain sequences will begin, but normally I will go and speak to certain characters, and I see that they're not there, it only makes me miss them even more. It was at this point I realized. This game successfully accomplished the idea of what they set out to get across. In trailers of this game, the line that says learn to say goodbye pops up, and of course I just took it lightly, but no. You learn to say goodbye to characters and accept the reality that when they are absent. This is a tough lesson that people have to come to terms in everyday life. That is the finality of when somebody you grew attached to is gone. They are gone, but what you are left are the memories and the things that they have taught you. This concept does not necessarily apply to just death, but rather any form of separation from another. So my advice? Hold and cherish the moments and the people that you have. You never know what the future may hold. Speaking of the writing, during my time of putting this review together, Thunderlotus issued out an apology. Initially, I was a little bit lost as to why, but it would seem that the team felt that somewhere within their writing exhibited a sense of being ableist. Now, I have my suspicions as to what section of the game that they're referring to, but then again, I have to remember that we're living in a time where there's a dangerous level of sensitivity among people. Sometimes for good reasons, and a lot of times for misplaced notions. Depending on the subject matter, motive, experience, and the perspective of who you ask, I reserve my opinion on the matter. However, I have to commend them on at least speaking up and actively correcting their believed errors for when they personally feel as if they've done something wrong, even if it's unintentional. This speaks volumes to the fan base, and I wish that other entities would take note. Spiritfarer doesn't strike me as a game of malicious intent, but if Thunderlotus believes they need to improve in any aspects, they're really going about it in the most respectful and mature manner. This is just by reading some of the Twitter responses to the many others that's on this thread, and seeing how this apology seems to be polarizing to many. I believe that this game hits on so many subjects, and I believe that this is the best game that Thunderlotus has produced thus far. Spiritfarer is now available for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Google Stadia, and Steam for Mac and PC for only $30. Whoops, I almost forgot. Shout out to Kowloon Nights for helping and giving us this game, as well as aiding and funding many other IPs. They have quite a catalog of projects that you can check out on their website. You can peep it out for yourself when you find time. Link will be in the description below as always. One other thing I can't go without mentioning is their Fairchild initiative, which is a movement to help black creators.